Hey everybody, happy Thursday night. You know what Thursday night means? The day before Friday. Of course, more importantly, it's hey, let me know if you can see me and hear me. Sorry I'm running a few minutes late. I don't see myself on YouTube, but I see myself on the restreamer. No. Jesus, what's going on? There we go. Yes. What's the first thing I said? There we go. Because I thought I was on for like 30 seconds and then looked at YouTube and I wasn't. So, yeah, I'm sorry I'm late. I'm sorry I'm late. But let me know that you can see me and hear me now, okay? Appreciate it. I don't know. I think Restream had a hiccup or something. But being late is 90% my fault. Um, thanks, Alan. 90% my fault. Oh, I got a poll for you guys up there. Oh, I guess you've seen it. It's about whether you're a patron or not. And I'm pretty damn sure it's anonymous. So if you're not, you will not be judged. Um, I will I do have my ways of finding you though, and you will get a visit personally. And the first thing I will say to you is we have ways of making you join the Patreon. So, all right, who we got here? Of course, we got Dave and Darren and Alan and Kim, Suzanne. Hey, Suzanne. Jakester and Mark Jones. I think I got everybody. You will not be judged. Exactly, Kim. Thank you. Yeah. So happy Thursday night. That means it's the day before Friday. It's the night before Friday, which for many people means no work tomorrow. So, all right, if you insist, I have just noticed that there are a couple of DC and Marvel crossovers. Alan probably knew this months ago, but I've just noticed it. I think there's a Flash and a Fantastic Four crossover, and I think there's a Batman and Deadpool. Is that right? I got to figure this stuff out. And I saw online somewhere something about Captain Marvel. He's no longer Shazam. Now, the Captain Marvel, aka Shazam from the DC universe, is teaming up with, is it Thor? I don't remember. You get the picture. So yeah, you'll make tea because I won't have to threaten you, Mark, because you're a patron. So so how's everybody's week going? So, and I said this on Tuesday for those of you who were here, but we had a great discussion, Patreon discussion, recorded a great Patreon discussion on Tuesday talking about the Ninth Gate. Alan was there, and it was fantastic. There's so much to this movie that is hard to notice. Some things harder than others, and it's all deliberate. Uh, and we go over as much of that as we can. And I'll have some links and a YouTube explainer video linked in the Patreon too when I get it up the next couple days here. And then yesterday I recorded an hour-long deep background episode with the Joe Lansdale. So at last, I have interviewed someone else on Central Time. I think he lives just a couple of hours away from me, if that. So anyway, Joe is such a fascinating guy. And as you guys probably know, the Deep Background series is more about the person and their life and how they came to be the person that they are today. So, as you might imagine, with Joe Lansdale, that's particularly fascinating. And I'll have that one up next week. So, um, you construct, uh, I don't know much about it, Jakester, but you can shoot me an email about it if you want. Ooh, there's a Harley Quinn Elvira crossover. Oh my gosh. Wow. Well, I just read Justice League, the last ride. Um, I get so sick of these retcons, because at the end of that, they were like, we're Justice League Universal now. And it's like, this is so great. Batman and Superman were mad at each other. And of course, they make up by the end. And it's great. Yeah, that's exactly right, Dave. So, yeah, that's a story, all right. She was on the ball, though. We talked about having a wife that really believes in you, that doesn't say things like, no, need to go get a real job. Stop this crap. You're never going to make it. You know, we both have wives like that. And at one point, Joe said, all I really ever wanted was for her to be proud of me. And that just I told Joe that just stabbed me in the heart in a good way, because it cut me to the bone, because that's exactly how I feel about Danielle. Um, I just want her to be proud of me, and she is, which is great. Um, Having someone who believes in you is everything, really is. Okay, well, the main reason I was late was I was sitting on the deck looking out at the streets in the dark, and I just kind of said softly, "Scout, Peekaboo, where are you guys?" Scout has been missing for a month as of yesterday. Peekaboo has been missing for 3 weeks, and I'm losing. I've got signs up all over the neighborhood with her picture, my phone number, um, and I've gotten a few calls and texts, but they were false alarms. It's nice that people are looking, though. I have a bad feeling but first of all, I blame myself. I should have protected them. I should have taken them inside. Um, Scout was, and Peekaboo really was, well, I would say Scout was an indoor and outdoor, meaning she came into the bookhouse all the time. She would sit with me in the chair on my lap, and no matter if she was nervous or anything before I did this, when I would put her down on the chair, she would immediately start purring, always. And one time about 3 months ago, we've got a privacy fence between us and our one neighbor. I have neighbors everywhere across the street. We're on some kind of we're on a little kind. It's kind of an island of sorts. It's not an island uh, in regards to water, I guess. It's just the streets here. If here's his house and my house, then around this well triangle really are other streets, other houses. So I have people live across from me. He does too, just like everyone, but he's the only neighbor in this little island that I have. There's a privacy fence between us and him, and it's pretty old. And according to him, it's our privacy fence, which is weird because it's facing the wrong way if it is. So, but sorry, let me change got it. There we go. Click, click. Okay, I'm sorry. So about 3 months ago, I fed the outdoor kittens. I feed them this canned food every day when they're little, and came outside, and Scout didn't show up. The other three kittens did, and of course Jupiter did, as always. But Scout did not show up. I was really worried because there were four kittens that were born in our yard that we were looking after, and Scout and Peekaboo are just the ones that are really close to my heart. And don't worry, I'll get off the maudlin part of this pod episode soon. But we go next door, and I mean, I thought I heard meowing during the day, but I'm half deaf, so I can't locate things by sound. And I was afraid that she was somewhere nearby and stuck or something. When Danielle got home, it was a little bit after dark, and we could hear her meowing for sure. Danielle's like, she's over in his backyard, which he's got a privacy fence between his backyard and the rest of his yard and front yard because he does all kinds of puttering around, uh, back there, which is fine. And we became certain that she was in there somewhere. I figured she was stuck under something or whatever. I go over. Long story short, Fernando's asleep. That's the guy's name. And oh, there's plenty of fence breaking. Yeah, it's very easy for them to get through there if they're curious. The two kittens that are remaining are not. I mean, they stay right outside the bookhouse and outside the back door. Um, but we went over there. Fernando's asleep. His like 22-year-old son. I talked to him and I said, "I'm sorry to bother you. I know it's you know after dark, but um, I hear meowing. I think my cat is stuck in your dad's backyard, and can I go over there? I just didn't want to do it without asking." And he was like, "I don't know. That's my dad's area." I was like, "Well, can you ask him?" He's like, "No, he's asleep." And I said, "Well, can I just go look for her?" And he goes, "No." I mean, what a little jerk. I was like, "Okay." We go over there, and I go back home, and Danielle's like, "He said no." And we peek over the fence just to see if we're wrong. Scout is in a trap, one of those traps where, they're like you put food in there and the animal walks in and the trap door closes. Okay. Um, and I thought, we have critters around here, maybe he's sick of them being in his yard. Um, okay, fine. I don't think that anymore. I think he was trying to trap my kitten. And Danielle's like, fuck this. And she starts pulling boards off. And we pull two boards off we could both squeeze through. And I squeezed through. She's watching. I was like, I can't get this open. And she goes and gets a hammer so I can pry it open. And oh my God, the look Scout was giving me was like, Dad, thank you for rescuing me. Oh my gosh. And she was so frightened. And I picked her up and scooped her and, put her on the back porch. And she was really nervous for a while. I just sat with her, I petted her. Um, and eventually she started, I mean, she was out there all day in this Texas heat. I just, and everything was okay then. And I have a hard time believing bad of people, I guess, until they show me. And I thought, well, he wasn't there out there today, um, which was weird because it was a Sunday. And, he was trying to trap some critter. I mean, surely he wouldn't do that to my kitten and just leave her out there all day. But I'm thinking now that's what's going on. And exactly a week later during the night, just like Scout, Peekaboo disappears. The other one that I care a lot about. And lately I've just been doing a lot of thinking and I'm no longer thinking the best of my neighbor. I'm I'm worried that he killed him and I was always on friendly terms with him. But as I'm going around the neighborhood asking the neighbors if they've seen um, the kittens, and before when I was just asking about the cat, um, this guy across the street from him says, Mike, nobody likes him. And I was like, what do you mean? No, he goes, nobody around here likes him. None of the neighbors do. I was like, why? He's like, he's just a jerk. Um, he said a couple examples. One time my wife parked in front of our house on the street, which she has every right to do. And he came over and yelled at her, told her to move her car because he couldn't get his pickup truck with the flatbed attached into his driveway. Instead of just going over there and saying something like, "Hey, sorry to bother you. Um, would you mind moving your car for a few minutes so I can get into the driveway?" It's not that hard to be nice. And he goes, another time, this is what really got me. He goes, another time I saw him so angry looking up at his tree, and it's not a big tree. And he goes, shaking the tree branches as much as he can because there's a squirrel up there. I'm like, a squirrel? Every tree has a squirrel in it. And yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna go over there and ask him, bring my wife with me as a witness. Yeah, I guess, but it's really heartbreaking for me, Jake Ster. I can't seem to get over it. Oh, I'm gonna keep an eye on him. Um, he says yes, then I'm going to make sure that he doesn't get away with it. I don't know if that means recording him when I go over there, which I will do, and delivering that to the cops or something else. Yeah. Yeah. Police involved is a great idea. And anyway, um, long story short, that's the whole story. And I so like the point is this tonight I was sitting out on the back deck, like about an hour before um, podcast time, and I just was like, and I got back on a app again called Nextdoor, and I reposted um, her picture, Peekaboo's picture, and left my phone number again in there. So yeah, if he sees a camera phone, he might not tell the truth. So I'm going to make sure he doesn't see it. So, but yeah, that's the whole story. So I'm sorry for the maudlin. Wow, 15 minutes of maudlin. Maudlin, not modeling. Hey, have you guys read this book? Joe and I were talking about it too. The Chinatown Death Cloud Peril. Pete sent it to me a while back, and it went on the TBR pile. And sometimes books are in the TBR pile for a day, a week, and I read them. Sometimes it's a month or months. Sometimes it's a couple of years. Well, this one's been on the pile a year or two, and all of a sudden I just got in the mood to check it out, and I love it. Um, Ravaged by the devastation of the, oh, by the way, it's only $1.99 on Kindle right now. Ravaged by the devastation of the Great Depression, America turned to the pulp novels for relief, for hope, for heroes. And the pulps delivered in spades. Um, the science fiction story, the hard-boiled detective, and the superhero were all born on those cheap yellow pages, found behind blood-drenched covers dripping with sex and violence. Return now to those thrilling days of yesteryear. Enter at your own risk into the dark and dank lair known as the White Horse Tavern, and meet Walter Gibson, the mind behind The Shadow, and Lester Dent, creator of Doc Savage, as they challenge one another to discover what is real and what is pulp. For Gibson, writing a new novel about the shadow every month is a way to evade his own dark past. For his rival, Dent, creating Doc Savage is an attempt to bring the light of better days to desperate millions. In their lives and loves, they are as different from one another as the heroes that they've created. But now, the hideous murder of the fringe pulp writer H.P. Lovecraft, victim of a mysterious death that literally makes the skin crawl, will set these two men onto a collision course with each other and face to face with a terrifying and very real evil that could have sprung from the pages of their own pulps. And it goes on, but I think you got the point. Um, yeah, it's great. I already called the lawyer. My wife's a lawyer. Not practicing right now. She's a school teacher, but when we moved to Florida, she's thinking about going back into it. She was a prosecutor for years. I'm very proud of her for that and for having the courage to say this is no longer what I want to do, at least in this chapter of my life. So, um, but I love kids, which she does, and I want to teach English. Uh, she majored in English in college, and yeah, she loves it. So yeah. Um, Also, you may have caught my interview with Nadia Bolkin recently. I am recording another Patreon podcast tomorrow. I mean, really, for $5 a month, you just really can't go wrong. And you can unsubscribe anytime. So, uh, and tomorrow, Nadia is really great at recommending horror movies. She's just so on the ball. That's what we're going to talk about tomorrow. And I'll probably have that out in 8 or 9 days. Need to space these out a little bit. But her new book, Issues with Authority, which I can relate to, is fantastic. It's basically four novellas. Excuse me, three novellas. Um, of the three, there's one called Cop Car. That's my favorite. It's not about a cop car. Um, but the other two are awesome as well. So pick that up. Oh, what's it say on the cover? It says Nadia Bolkin is required reading. Laird Barron. Who was Laird? No, I'm kidding, of course. Uh, Listen, I am not going to be specific at all about what Laird is going through, but um, he's still going through it. Okay, I think I can say that, and he's really struggling. So I don't know. Like, there's nothing we can do about it, except maybe join his Patreon, buy his books. Um, that's encouraging for him always. All right, what do we got here? What did I forget to say? Oh, I'm not done. I just looking at my list. Um, oh, don't forget, real quick, don't forget the email list. That's in the show notes. Just a couple links down, and it'll send you reminders of the podcast episodes. You'll only get usually 2 to 3 a month, a month, 2 to 3 a week, and it's got an unsubscribe link at the bottom of every email, so you can always unsubscribe if you don't want to keep doing it. And yeah, I think that's it for the announcements. I was thinking about that question in the Patreon that poll that I posted. Would you rather be famous or rich? Um, I was watching on Peacock a a series, 5 episodes, um, called Rainn Wilson and the Geography of Bliss. And Rainn Wilson is the guy who played Dwight on The Office. So anyway, he struggles with depression and all that, and he decided to travel around the world for a couple of months and go to some of the happiest nations, find out why they were happy. What are they doing different from Americans and so forth. And the key thing there is what makes people happy. Of course, the answer is somewhat different from everyone, but there are so many people who have been successful in whatever way. Maybe they were an awesome parent, awesome husband or wife, or made a lot of money, or you know got noticed by a lot of people by what they do, for what they do. It can go on and on, but cliches are cliches for a reason, and being happy comes from finding that which fulfills you, and learning to live in the moment. Um, Again, that sounds very, you know, woo woo, but it's true. It really is true, and it's simple but not easy, and easier said than done. And you know, I was thinking about, I don't say this in a braggadocious way, but I've always been of a mind that whatever I put my mind to, I'm going to succeed at it because it's something that I care about, and I always have. For a while, I cared about real estate. I was helping a lot of people. I wasn't being a salesman. For example, a lot of first-time home buyers. It's a scary process. They need a guide that won't screw them over. Um, and I really enjoyed it, and had a lot of money too, which is never a bad thing. Then I got sick, and I just could not keep up with it, and we moved to Texas, and I started all this. And I love this too. I don't make nearly as much money, not even close, but I love it a lot, and it is fulfilling for me. Um, if I really wanted to be famous or rich, I would be. Um, Blair, yeah, he's the author of the Coyne. He's a he's a very good friend, and a really wonderful person. Um, First of all, I don't no judgments on anyone else, but I don't understand anyone who would want to be famous. I mean, I got a lot of followers online, but I'm not anywhere near, and certainly not in the sense of you can't go to the grocery store or the movies without getting mobbed kind of thing. I mean, that's freedom's really important to me. And it's one of my values, one of the things that makes me happy. And you lose your freedom, it seems to me, and someone said once, groupie love is not real love. And it's true. It seems very fulfilling. It seems like it'll make people happy because, everybody loves you, or most people do. But the point is, if you have to count on somebody else or something else to feel happy, then you're not in control of your own happiness. You have to be, you have, if you want to be happy, you have to learn to be happy, whatever happens, within reason. Um, whether you have money, whether you have any of those things that people in this culture think are so important. Money is another one of them. Um, I said a few minutes ago, I made a lot of money in real estate, which is never a bad thing, and it is not a bad thing at all. But I can't do that now. Um, I love doing what I do now, and more importantly, I am not willing. I could put together a plan to become rich if that's what I cared about it. And I would laser beam focus on that, and I would find a way slash ways, and I would do it. Um, but I'm not willing to do the things that I would need to do to become rich. And I'm not even saying, you know, unethical or bad or things like that. I'm just not willing to put in that kind of time when I'm 54, and if I live a long time for a man, I got 30 years left. That's not a lot of time. I've been with Danielle 30 years. Yeah, it's a long time, but it's also not a long time, you know. And I don't want to spend a huge portion of that time doing the things I would need to do to become rich. I would rather focus on the things that are important to me. So, you know, Taoism, Taoism comes into that a lot. Acceptance. Um, I know everyone's heard of this book, but if you haven't read The Tao of Pooh by Benjamin, gosh, I can't remember his last name right now. Benjamin something, doesn't matter. You can Google it. The Tao of Pooh. It's a very not dumbed down, but simple explanation of Taoism and Wu, which is doing without doing. Um, let me find a couple examples. Okay, yeah, I looked up a list earlier. Um, Letting natural consequences teach someone something instead of intervening with extra rules or punishment, as with a parent letting a child learn from their own mistakes. Good example. Um, Floating around obstacles like water instead of trying to smash through them. Water adapts to the landscape rather than fighting it. Swimming with the current instead of against it. Now these, okay, maybe you never swim, or you know, maybe you don't own a boat, which I don't. So, but the idea behind these examples are this is to give you an idea of what Wu is. By the way, that's spelled W-U is the first word. The next word is W-E-I. Um, Here's a better real life example. Adapting. Oh, the boat one was swimming with the current instead of rowing against it, or rowing a boat so that you use the wind and the water's energy rather than straining against them. I'm sure you can think of examples in real life how you could do that. Adapting to surprises without fighting reality. Like when something goes wrong, um, you stay calm and adapt instead of getting upset or trying to force a solution. Yeah, Alan said it's easier to change yourself than change the world. Yeah, I don't think the world wants to be changed, but that's not the point you're making. Um, I'll say too that since practicing all this, and since being a student, an eternal student of Taoism, that's a big thing, learning to accept when things go wrong. And when there's small things, you know, relatively speaking, you your tire's flat, you missed the bus, you accidentally break something. Well, you can't go backwards in time, right? Just forward. All you can do is, okay, how do I fix this and go on? I accept that it's happened and go on. I'll also say that there are a lot of things that can go wrong, not fixing your tire on your own, but there are a lot of situations where if you let them be, they'll resolve themselves. I do that all the time, and I can't right now think of an example. Um, yeah, oh, they listed that too. Allowing a situation to resolve on its own if you see that extra effort would create more problems than it would solve. Sometimes doing less is the best way forward. Taoism, especially Wu Wei, remind us to notice when we're forcing things and to look for ways to act more naturally and harmoniously, trusting that some things will work out better if we stop interfering and let them unfold. So, Wu Wei means acting with ease, like you're in the zone. So your actions feel smooth, natural, and effective instead of stressful and forced. Taoism encourages being in tune with nature and life's spontaneous rhythms instead of forcing things to happen your way. Uh, this is just to tell you that how much Taoism has helped me. And I'm talking philosophical. It's not a religion. At least not how most practice it, I guess. Uh, you can be a Christian and practice philosophical Taoism, or you can be an atheist, or you can be whatever, you know, Hindu. Yeah. Uh, so all of this is not to say I've explained it really well, but just to pique your interest about Taoism. And there are a lot of books on Taoism, but the Tao of Pooh is is one of the best ways to start. You get an overview of it, explained simply. It's not Taoism for dummies. It's just another tenet of Taoism is simplification, and I think it's Benjamin Hoff. He wrote the book exactly that way, you know. So yeah. What else was I going to talk about? You guys all go to work in the morning? Let's see here. Darren, I'll have some astronomy stuff next Thursday. We call Thursday Friday Junior. I like that, Kim. I like that. Nia was off today. She wasn't feeling good. So she's been in bed for a couple of hours already. Um, get rid of that. Get rid of that. I'm thinking out loud. Sorry. Friday. Do you work from home all the time, Kim? I was under the impression you did, or are you like half and half? Um, Just curious. There's there's a really cool new Kickstarter game. It's called Cthulhu Mysteries: Veins of Arkham. Um, I'm gonna post the link in the side chat. Finally, I lost the side chat. There we go. There we go. Thanks, Darren. Yeah, it is great working from home, isn't it? Friday's no cook Friday. You cook all week. You mean at home or it's your job, Mark? Anyway, that I really believe in this little project. And you can get the video game and the comic book for 12 bucks. So the video game is 12 bucks at that tier. And they throw in the comic book for free. Let's see here. I won't dwell on this, but I just want to read something to you. Go to the Lovecraft Easy Facebook page. I posted it there earlier. Veins of Arkham Cthulhu Mysteries. I put you guys, I'm sure noticed I put it in the side chat. Taking care of elderly relatives. Yeah, I imagine pixels were easier. A Lovecraft-inspired detective visual novel blending noir atmosphere, psychological horror, and cosmic dread, very much in the spirit of Call of Cthulhu. The creator says, alongside the game, we're also producing a companion comic and a TTRPG scenario set in the same universe. The campaign is primarily for the video game, but during the campaign, you can also get, or even purchase separately, a comic book set in the same universe. It tells the story of one of the game's characters and her encounters with the mythos during World War One. He said, to his way of thinking, play the video game, and then you can play through the story in the TTRPG scenario with friends. You can run it for your friends, after you played the video game. But he says each medium stands on its own. So that's all I'll say about that for now. But check it out, and if you can, they've only got seven days left, and they're about 65% backed. So at this point, the creator's feeling pretty stressed. So, and you can get in on it for 12 bucks. Get that in the comic book. So, anyway, thanks for listening to that. I just really believe in the project, and I want to help this guy. I do. So, I don't know what I'm doing here. Yeah. Okay. Um, what else was I? Oh, I wanted to recommend a couple of other things. As I said, we talked about the Ninth Gate, and I'll be posting that. Um, the Club Dumas is the book that it's based on, and I several of it that said this, that we've seen the Ninth Gate a million times, but the conversation just made us want to read the book now. It's called The Club Dumas, and it's on Kindle and in print. So if you like The Ninth Gate, check it out. Also reading. Oh, Alan, I started the third book in the Werewolf trilogy by Glenn Duncan. By Blood We Live. That's pretty damn good so far. So far, I like the vampire more than the werewolf, but that's me. That's me. And I don't want to disappoint Dave. I got to talk about some more comic books. There are shadow comic books on Kindle Unlimited. Um, and I just put them in my library. They're really great so far. Really great. So, I was reading the Chinatown Death Cloud Peril, and it just made me want to read shadow stories, but I can't really find novels. Um, a long time ago, I listened to the Shadow and Old Time Radio, um, when I was a kid. But these comic books are really great, really great. So, oh, I know. The last thing I was going to recommend is this. Uh, it's Have you read this, Alan? It's called Dead Romance by Lawrence Miles. It is also on Kindle. And read what? It's the Club Dumas. There you go. I wrote it in the side chat also. Hey, Russell. Um, Now, a long time ago, I was in a half-price bookstore in Iowa. And this is what got me. This was on the dollar. It's still on there. It was on the dollar rack. So I was looking on the dollar rack. Yeah, it's Doctor Who, but he's not in the book. Um, this is what got me. All right, let's start with the basics. The world ended on the 12th of October, 1970. I was like, man, okay, what a hook. I don't know why I'm writing this. It's not like anybody's going to read it, at least nobody who cares about the fact that I'm a desperate, dying 23-year-old human being who's just had the whole of history taken away from her. To whoever's out there, to whatever's left, this is the way things were just before the end. This is a story about the last days of London, about murder and love and waking up in the ruins, about all the people buried in the wreckage. I'm lying, obviously. This is my story. This is what I was doing when October the 12th came. Because let's face it, I'm the only one who really matters. I'm the only one who got out alive. So it's got, uh, let me read you this one quote and then I'll let you guys go to bed or whatever you do. It's very philosophical. Um, yeah, very cool ideas. You're right, Alan. Have you read this one? Oh, you've read it. Okay. We're all dead things. We're all dead things, but the fact that we're still moving stops us seeing it. My mother used to tell me something about the night I was born. She told me that in the maternity ward, in the bed next to hers, there was a woman whose baby came out sick. She couldn't remember what kind of sick, but it was something bad, something the doctors couldn't spot before the actual birth. The woman somehow managed to keep quiet right the way through the delivery. But when the baby finally came out the way it did, something just snapped. That was when she started screaming, screaming and screaming and screaming until the doctors had to wheel her out of the ward. But she was still there when my mother started having the contractions, so I suppose the screaming could have been one of the first things I ever heard. I wonder if that's important. The baby next door was definitely alive the day after the birth. Not that I remember this, but I know it slept in the cot next to mine in the hospital. I can't help thinking about all those babies all lined in their little boxes, all of them crying, all bald and slimy, but one of them different from the rest. Sick, maybe dying. Look, this is what I'm getting at. We're like the things in Lady Diamond's shop, like the skulls of all those animals from India. We're collections of bones, which have been given skin and fat for a little while, just so we can move around. And why do we move around? So the bones are spread out a bit after we die, sorted into pretty patterns, just like ladies' relics. The things we come up with while we're walking around, the symbols and the smiley face badges, they're all part of the collection as well. We stop moving. The fat falls off of our bodies, and the other dead things in the world lay us out in the ground, making sure that we look nice for the archaeologists. Think about it. How long do we move around for? 70 years? 80? No time at all in the big picture. But how long do the archaeologists need us for? How long do we stay useful once we've been stripped down to the bone? Centuries, thousands of years, forever. So, which is more likely? That we're put here to live, or that we're put here as part of the bone collection and we just don't know it yet? That's why I keep thinking about the maternity ward, all the babies in their little boxes, just like that kitten, pickled in Lady's jar. Let's not kid ourselves. It's the baby in the cot next to mine who will be the prize of the collection, not me, the little mutant, the little curiosity. Which makes me wonder, who is the collection being assembled for? I can just imagine them, the curators and the collectors, stalking the world whenever they think we're not looking, making sure we're all still breeding and dying, taking inventories of us on the quiet, changing the world around behind our backs to make room for the exhibits, giving us more space to fill up with symbols and boxes. Is that how the world's going to end? When they decide there are enough exhibits and take away the skin and fat from us all in one go? So philosophical stuff like that. And if you don't have to take my word for it, but you have to take Alan's word for it. So it's a great book. It really is. Uh, very science fiction, cosmic horror, weird, philosophical, just real, just right up to just barely. The doctor is barely mentioned, and he's not called the doctor. Um, so Kim. So anyway, guys, thanks for listening to me. Thanks for spending part of your Thursday night with me, especially bearing with me while I talked about the kittens. And if you're a patron, you'll get that Ninth Gate episode maybe tomorrow, certainly on Saturday, if not tomorrow. Tomorrow's a busy day, but Saturday less so. So I'd be able to post it then if I haven't posted it yet. I hope they're okay too, Mark. I lost a little cat that I really loved called Oreo about a year and a half ago, and I really grieved. But this is harder because with Oreo, I knew she was at peace. With these two, I don't know where they are, if they're alive, if they're dead, if they're out there alone and scared and hungry, can't find their way home. That's what's hard. So talking about it helps a little bit. So I appreciate you listening. And see you on Sunday at 6. No guest, just us yakking. So goodbye and hello, as always.